Hey guys, so today I wanted to address one of the most common concerns among people in their health and fitness journeys, especially women. And I find that because I work mostly with women, however, it happens to others as well. And every once in a while, I get a message from a client of mine. I work with a ton of women online now, and every once in a while, I'll get a message, and she texts me in a frenzy. I actually got one yesterday. My client, she texted me in a frenzy. I got like 5 or 6 messages that were like, I don't know what to do. I weighed myself. Not only did I not lose weight, but I actually gained weight. I gained weight this week. I really thought I was doing well. And now all of a sudden they're in this big mental funk, okay? So today I'm gonna talk a little bit about what our preconditioned response to weight gain is, why it's negative, and how we can then change our mindset to reframe our response in a more productive way. So this girl was freaking out. She texted me. She was like, it says I've gained 4 pounds since Thanksgiving. I don't understand why. I've really been consistent. I've been going to the gym. I even watched what I ate over the holiday. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I was thinking in my head at that moment in time, she had this idea about herself. She had this negative idea about herself because of the weight on the scale that overrode her positive feelings about herself because of the actions she was taking. So in other words, she felt good about herself. She felt in control. She was really following her diet plan. She was following her workout plan. She was doing what she needed to do to reach her goals, right? And that made her feel good. And somehow the number on the scale made her feel like absolute shit, even though she was proud of herself for all of those things. And I want to talk about why that happens and why it's a problem and how we can fix it. So first of all, I explained to her that it's physically impossible for her to gain 4 pounds of actual fat during that time. She's probably retaining water. It could be something from the day. It could be the scale. It could be any number of things. So the first thing I do is always ease a woman's mind that whenever it seems too severe to be true, it most likely is not true. So number one is she probably didn't gain that much weight, right? She probably didn't gain any, but that's not the point. The point is her reaction to it, and that if she had, it really wouldn't matter that much. Let's start with a little bit of a hypothetical scenario here, okay? So say you step on the scale and you realize you've gained weight. It's 3 pounds up, 4 pounds up, maybe 5 pounds up. And of course, in this moment, your reaction is not going to be based on logic. Your reaction is going to be based purely on emotion, purely on self-image. So let's go over a few of the initial reactions that you would have without any conscious response, right? This is all subconscious, what you feel immediately, okay? So your heart drops into your stomach, you get that beating in your chest, you're anxious about it. All of a sudden you feel upset, right? You feel angry, maybe you feel frustrated, maybe it felt like you were on track and you don't understand, like this client said, you don't understand why it's happening. So you feel confused, right? And you feel ashamed. No matter how proud you are about other things in your life, no matter how well you've been following your program, how consistently you've been exercising and eating well, a number can immediately make us feel like shit, okay? So first of all, I like to say all the time, I like to ask people all the time, like I said, if you're confused about why this was happening, that means that you felt like you were on track. You really thought you were doing well and you were proud of yourself for that. So my first question is always, did you feel any of these negative emotions before you saw the number on the scale? And if the answer is no, then you know that there is definitely a subconscious preconditioned response to seeing this that we have been trained to respond negatively to, that you are allowing to get in the way. You're allowing it to put you in a funk, and you're not asking why, okay? I see tons of women in the locker room. I see it all the time. I don't even have to look around the corner anymore. I hear it happening. I hear the little scale things going back and forth. I hear a little bit of standing still for a minute, and then I hear a sigh, and then I hear them walking off. And I'm just like, I don't understand why we define ourselves by the number on the scale. I could go into the science of it, and I've done that before, about why this is not productive, but I'm going a little bit more into the mindset today. So it's very likely that if she was not expecting to see a number higher on the scale because she felt like she was doing really good, it's really likely that she didn't have any of these negative thoughts about herself beforehand. And if there's a dichotomy there, you need to take a look at how your response is subconscious and how you can change that. The number one thing for me that I will never understand is the fact that all of us seem to respond negatively to this. All of us identify with that upset, angry, frustrated, confused, ashamed, feeling like shit when you see the number on the scale. It's just a fact of nature. You gain weight and you have to feel like shit about it, right? You see that number and you're anxious. Most of us are anxious to even weigh ourselves because it's like in our heads, it means something about us, right? It means something about us. It's preconditioned. We've been told this, right? But my question is why? And this is the question that nobody else seems to ask. The question is why? Especially like my client, if you've been following your program, like I said, if you've been eating your meal plan well, like I said, if you've been proud of yourself in every other aspect of your life, why do we react this way? Why do we allow it to affect us? So many of us go day in, day out, allowing it to affect us, and we don't ask why. Well, I'll tell you why, because I know exactly why this happens. So, what do we feel most afraid of? We feel most afraid of things that we cannot control. And this is going to go into my video on that as well. It's going to relate, right? We feel most afraid of things that are beyond our control. And what are things that are beyond our control? Things that are beyond our control are things that we cannot trust to be consistent, and things that we cannot trust to function the way that we want them to function, right? They have a mind of their own. And what don't we have trust in and control over? We don't have trust in and control over things that we have no knowledge on how to manipulate, right? So, in other words, when you see that number on the scale go up, there is nothing to be afraid of if you know exactly what to do to get yourself back to the place that you want to be. The problem with most of us is that you see that weight on the scale and then you're jumping ahead. You don't know how you're gonna get back. You don't know how you're gonna lose the weight. You don't have the strategy. It feels like your body is beyond your control. And so you don't have trust in your body, number one, and you don't have trust in yourself, number two, because if you had trust in yourself, it would be trusting that you know how to control this process, right? So my theory is that our preconditioned negative emotional response to seeing a weight on the scale like that is a direct result of a lack of knowledge and a lack of education on how to reach your goals on command as soon as you decide what you want to do. I used to let the weight on the scale affect me because if I started gaining weight, I felt out of control. I had no idea how to reverse it. I didn't know how to help myself. Now, I am for sure, and I don't weigh myself, right? But since Thanksgiving, I know for a fact I'm sitting probably like 3 to 5 pounds above where I normally am. And that's also because I have a really great intuition of my body. But I'm not upset about it and I'm not scared about it because I know exactly what to do. The strategy to take to get myself back to a place that I am really comfortable with, right? I know exactly what my strategy is. And I say this to my ladies all the time. The pillars of my program are strategy, right? Strategy is number one, mindset, and this video is about how those two things are hand in hand, and accountability, which is how I hold them accountable, right? But strategy can be broken up into 3 main areas, and I know I've said this before, and those are your goals, so you set clear goals, knowing what you want to do. Number 2 is your diet plan, right? And number 3 is your workout plan. If all of these three things are working together in the same direction, you should have no doubts about where you're going and no doubts that you will reach your goal. The problem with most people is that they don't have these 3 things working together. And they either don't realize it or they do realize it, and that's why they have fear. Because they do things, they work out, they eat well, but they're not seeing results. They don't know why, and they don't know why they can't get that weight off once they've gained it. And the reason is one of these 3 things or more, 2 or more of these 3 things are contradicting one another, and they don't realize. So they're always taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, right? Your diet plan, your exercise, and your goals have to be lined up perfectly. And you have to have the knowledge and the education on how to line up that strategy. So since I have that knowledge and education, I see my weight on the scale go up. Number 1 in strategy is setting a clear goal. My clear goal is to get that weight off. Number 2 and 3 are exercise and diet. As long as these 3 things are aligned, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly how to get there. So I've gotten to this wonderful place in my life where I'm not afraid of it anymore. I'm not afraid to see a number that I don't like because I have the tools to do what I need to do after that and figure out how to move forward, how to reach that goal, right? So I have control, number 1, and because I have control because of my knowledge and education and because I am aware of how my body works. I have control, and thus I trust my body And I trust myself. And having control and having trust not only over your physical body, but also over your mental capacity is fundamental to resisting those feelings of self-depreciation, right? Resisting those feelings of upset, of anger, of being frustrated, confused, ashamed of yourself, right? I'm able to have self-compassion even if I get on the scale and I feel like I'm seeing a number that I don't like, because I have trust in myself, right? And the reason I have trust in myself is because I have control over the process. I know exactly how to get back to where I need to be. And the reason I have that control is because I've been educated on how to do it. I have the knowledge on how to do it. So I really strongly believe that we have been preconditioned to have these negative emotional associations with gaining weight solely because we are left so clueless on how to get back to where we want to be, on how to reach our goals, right? We are left clueless on strategy. And strategy is key to self-compassion in a way. Strategy is key to mindset, because you cannot have a healthy mindset or self-compassion if you are unsure of yourself. So you can recondition yourself to have a positive reaction to this situation, this scenario of seeing that you've gained weight. You can recondition yourself to have a positive reaction if, instead of letting it get you in an emotional funk, you're able to construct a game plan that without doubt will get you to where you want to go, right? Because you have trust, you have control, and you know exactly how to do it. When you have that knowledge, when you know for a fact that this game plan that you have, right, is gonna get you to where you need to go, there's nothing to be afraid of. Literally nothing to be afraid of, right? If you're on the highway and you don't have a GPS and you're trying to get to a certain place and you think you're missing your exit, you're gonna drive with hesitation. You're gonna drive with stutter. You're gonna be scared. You're gonna be like, shit, what do I do? Do I change lanes? Like, and that's what most people are doing, but they don't know that, right? So if you have that GPS, right, and you know for a fact that it's gonna get you to where you need to go, you're not afraid about whether you're gonna make it there on time, because you know that you will, right? You know that you will. So even if you have a setback or you have to stop to go pee at McDonald's, you don't have a panic attack and feel like scared about it, because you have that direction. You know where you're gonna go. Even if you take one wrong exit and you have to take a U-turn, you might be set back a little bit time-wise, but you still know how to get there, and that's the idea. And then in terms of being set back time-wise, right? People have the wrong idea about weight loss. People think it's something that they have to do as quickly as possible. And when you look at this as a long-term lifestyle, you realize that you're not in any rush, because you want to lose that weight and keep it off. You don't want to keep going back and forth, right? So when you see the scale go up because you had a Thanksgiving dinner, first of all, that's like a really damn good reason, and it shouldn't matter that much, and that will be gone within a week as long as you get back on track. But number two, if this is a long-term lifestyle, you have to understand that it's going to go up and down. There are going to be tiny changes. But maintaining what you want long-term all comes from knowledge, right? And if you think of weight loss as a temporary thing, as a quick thing, you are going to keep going back and forth, and you are going to continue to have those negative associations with realizing that your body changes sometimes. So just to recap, right, we are preconditioned to have a negative emotional response to weight gain solely because we have not been educated on the correct strategy of how we need to get to where we want to go, right? We don't trust our bodies because we don't feel in control. So if we feel that we've gained weight, if we see that we've gained weight, the only reason to feel anxious or scared about it is if you don't know how to fix it. And it's very simple. It's very simple. The industry would have you think it's very complicated because they want to continue to keep you clueless, right? However, it's actually very simple, and that's exactly what I teach women how to do, not only now, but long term, so that in the future, if they have this happen again, they can step on the scale, look at the number, look at it objectively, say, okay, I probably know where that came from if I'm being honest, but it doesn't define who I am, and I trust myself and my strategy to get back to where I need to go, so there's nothing to be afraid of. Literally nothing. So I hope that made sense to you guys. I hope I was able to shift your mindset a little bit. And if you're unable to to reverse these really negative feelings about yourself, if you notice that you have gained weight, it's probably because you don't have a clear game plan, a clear strategy of how to get to where you want to go, or you think you do and it's just not working, which means you don't. So hit me up, message me. I would be happy to help you with that. It's really a lot simpler than people make it out to be. Like I said, you just have to make sure your goals, your diet, and your workouts are all aligned with one another. And then there's really nothing to be afraid of. So have a great rest of your day. Comment, like, share if you guys found this intriguing. I hope that it helped you with your mindset. And if you notice, especially during this holiday season, that you have gained 2 or 3 or maybe 5 pounds, right? Look at it objectively. Don't let it define you. And know that if you have the correct strategy, there's nothing to be afraid of, because you will be right back at it and you'll be back where you need to be.